So lovely good evening today, the 21st of June 2023. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo to present Camnet Television Main News. Our top stories in the news: PF alleges that 3 of its senior members are targeted for arrests this week. MTENDERE compound in a water crisis. 2 lawmakers directed to AVAIL KAIZER ZULU to court. In international news, climate activists protest in Paris demanding end to financing of fossil fuels. In sports news, government determined to tap talent in all parts of the country.
The Ukusefya Bangwena Organizing Committee proudly present Legacy on the Greens, a prestigious golf tournament commemorating the 10th anniversary of Mwinelubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II's reign. Join us as we tee off with Mwinelubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II on the 23rd of June at the exquisite Bonanza Golf Course in Lusaka, Zambia, for a day of elegance, camaraderie, and regal competition. Legacy on the Greens, celebrating Mwinelubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II's 10th anniversary on the throne. Don't miss this regal affair. Reserve your place today.
Hello again, the news in detail. A land wrangle in Lusaka's Linda compound has deepened as another man has emerged claiming ownership of a farm that is currently being sold by Noah Kazenene, who claims to be the rightful owner of the land. 50-year-old David Siamuyuwa claims that the documents that were presented by Mr. Kazenene to Camnet News as proof of ownership of the land are forged and further called on the state to move in and resolve the matter. He says many families are being affected by the decision taken by Mr. Kazenene to sell the land, which has been occupied by some families for many years. More in this report.
The overpopulation of Lusaka district has resulted in land becoming one of the most sought for commodity, which has resulted in land wrangles nearly in all the parts of the province. Saturday, the 17th of June 2023, Camnet Television aired a story in which some residents of Linda compound in Lusaka were calling on the office of the president to intervene in a matter in which land they have occupied for many years has allegedly been sold by Noel Kazenene, a resident of the area who they claim has illegal documents to the said land.
Tuativuta maningi kuchoka 2003 mwamina nagomorera manyumba.
Baje meni ile naka 28 years koma lero ati nichoke niende nizaenda kuti kwa meni nizaenda kuti atate watu.
But Mr. Kazenene, when contacted, produced evidence indicating that the land in question is actually his.
Certificate of title is conclusive. Once you have certificate of title, it's conclusive, it is your property. And under section 34, an action cannot lie against the registered proprietor unless a title holder is mogega in default or a holder is in default.
In a twist of events, David Siamuyuwa, also a resident of Linda compound, has surfaced with documents indicating that part of the farmland number 204A actually belongs to him, and that he paid all the requirements for the said land to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, while claiming that the documents produced by Mr. Kazenene are indeed fake.
This property is legally mine, for I have the documents for the so-called property. My documents are these, and I also pay. I also pay ground rent for the same property of mine. To my surprise is that this man, Mr. Noah Kazenene, had all the audacity of selling a property that does not belong to him.
He has since turned to the highest office of the land to look into the matter, adding that all efforts to resolve the issue with the Zambia police and other relevant wings do not seem to be yielding any results.
The hectares that this diagram has is 34.6014 hectares. Now on his title, this one, they've written 23. Does it corroborate? The answer is no. As if this wasn't enough, he has another title deed with 10 hectares, which also has got the diagram number being 1269 of 76. Honestly, does the Ministry of Lands go on site, survey, and then only give you the survey in 1976 and they only give you the title deed in 1991? The investigation that was done by Zambia police, where they detected fraud in his on the titles that he's holding on to it, claiming that they're clean. This is the document, a report, cause number 2000/HP/1132. This is the genesis of all the fracas that is there. May I kindly appeal to the new Dawn government that can you kindly come into this issue and bring this case to its logical conclusion.
Meanwhile, Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources was unable to comment on the matter by broadcast time, but what still remains is that the scramble for this piece of land will continue and that the authority needs to urgently look into this matter before things go to worse. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Some men in Lusaka's Chiwolia compound are optimistic that the construction of a new maternity wing and children's ward at Chiembekezo Clinic will ease the burden of their spouses having to travel long distances to access maternity services. Those spoken to say they have been afraid of having many children due to a lack of maternity wings at the only facility in the area, but they say they will now consider having more children. Meanwhile, Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary Administration Dr. George Sinyangwe says regardless of the location, the government will continue to provide quality health services to the people. More in this report.
Dead but not forgotten, Bishop Jacob Piri was the founder of Chiembekezo Clinic, the only health facility in Lusaka's Chibolia compound, one of the most densely populated compounds in the district. The health facility could however not accommodate children and expectant mothers due to its size, but the vision of Bishop Piri to have a health facility that caters for all has been fulfilled after government Wednesday morning launched a new maternity wing and children's ward at Chiembekezo Clinic, which is expected to serve more than 50,000 people. And some men who came to witness the launch of the facility are happy that their spouses have a nearby health facility to run to when expecting, and say they are now contemplating having more children.
So very easy, so wakanyama transport so hapa ni panepa tuamfagweno sana tutila sana ifi walete wa Chiembekezo ndio mfagweno sana bati atu apusuka nokupusuka nango ninga kwata bana ka 5 kaili sipaterepo chivi.
Meanwhile, the late Bishop Piri's spouse, Violet Piri, who was present at the launch, says she is happy that her late husband's vision has come to pass through the launch of the women and children's ward at the health facility, which she says will go a long way in saving the lives of the community.
He felt the need to build an extension of the clinic for maternity and children's wing. The PS, 2 years after his death, with the support from our partners such as Tel Aviv from Sweden and some from Australia, helped us to build the maternity wing.
The Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary Administration, Dr. George Sinyangwe, who officially opened the facility, says government will continue to take development even in most undesirable places of the country in order to offer a service to the people.
The KAIZER clinic will now be providing labor and delivery services to emphasize. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, one of the key priorities in the design and planning of this clinic was to create a patient-centered environment. The idea was that every individual who walks through these doors feels welcome, cared for, and receives the highest level of medical attention.
And Area Councillor Aaron Mwanza has promised the people of Chibolia compound that roads that lead to the health facility will be worked on to ease the movement of those accessing the facility.
The other challenges that these health facilities may face is not network. You see that you have got the challenge of network here. But we are announcing that as the Kwadama constituency, we have secured over 8 million kwacha to purchase health moving machinery. That will help us to upgrade our loads.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Maina Soko Military Hospital Commandant Brigadier General Bernard Kapatamoyo says quality health infrastructure and equipment are vital in order to effectively carry out surgeries on patients like those with brain tumors. Speaking to journalists in Lusaka Thursday, Brigadier General Kapatamoyo says Zambia has the capacity to carry out effective brain surgeries, but what is required is enough infrastructure and a conducive environment for health practitioners to conduct operations. And government, through Information and Media Director spokesperson Tawo Kawana, has hailed the hospital on its successful brain tumor surgeries, with the latest being that involving Likoji Mihova, daughter to former Zambia Army Commander Lieutenant General Paul Mihova.
Zambia has continued to demonstrate excellency in the medical fraternity by conducting complex surgeries to save lives, and Maina Soko Medical Center is keen to steer quality health service provision, with the latest success being a brain operation on Likonji Mihova. The story of Miss Mihova, a 29-year-old female patient, is one that illustrates the point that with the right personnel, equipment, resources, and most of all commitment and collaboration, anything is possible. Complicated brain surgery was conducted by medical professionals led by Dr. Godiwala Tosif, a renowned consultant in neurology, Senior Colonel Dr. Wang So Chao, a skilled neurosurgeon from the 29th Chinese medical team, and Colonel Dr. Greenwell Kunda, among others.
Of the team, and it can go. I think they won't even fit in this room. There were so many people involved in this surgery. And if we continue doing this surgery, or this nature of surgery, I think that we do not even need to go to any other place. Here in Zambia, everything can be done.
During a press conference in Lusaka Thursday, 21st June 2023, Miss Mihova could not hold the joy of knowing that the surgery was successful.
And it was just amazing for me when I woke up. Like, I was like, oh, I'm alive, you know? So I was like, I'm victorious. So, and then every day after that, I was being asked all these questions like, you know, can you move your hands? Can you walk? Can you talk? And I was like, yes. And I feel like I was talking a bit like, you know, slow because of the medication, maybe. But also, and then my face swelled up. That's the photo that's everywhere. But I don't mind it because I'm here, I'm alive, I can talk, I can walk, I can teach again. The only thing I can't do is go on a roller coaster.
She is, however, just among the many people who have been successfully operated on at the military hospital. And Maina Soko Medical Center Commandant Brigadier General Bernard Kapatamoyo says with more government and cooperating partners' support, the hospital is able to do more to save lives.
The requirements to perform such complex surgery are vast and they're expensive. But government has been in support, and it is our sincere wish that as a military, we take our position in taking the lead in providing medical services to our people in Zambia.
And Ministry of Information and Media Director spokesperson Tawo Kawana has hailed the hospital for the job well done and reaffirmed government's resolve to improve healthcare service provision in the country.
Falls in line with the emphasis of His Excellency when he states that what we need in our country is to ensure that we utilize public resources correctly, putting our people first, getting things done at the right price, getting things done properly with proper quality and delivered on time. A young teacher who's talented, she teaches many things from academia to cookery, and she's also a politician like somebody we know, the civil servant. But all that hope was dwindled, threatened with loss of sight, threatened with a future without ability to walk on your own. But today, she's able to make us laugh. She's able to show her scar with pride that this is what this country is able to do. That's a pride that we talk about as Zambians.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Some residents of Lusaka's MTENDERE township have lamented the lack of water supply for over a month caused by some leaking pipes. The residents say despite reporting the matter to Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company, nothing has been done. They are appealing to the area member of parliament Mike Mposha and the water utility company to address the challenge. Meanwhile, Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company Marketing and Public Relations Manager Shamba Mzungu says the company has not received any such reports. He says residents must learn to utilize the toll-free line to report faults. Here's a report.
With 7 years to go in attaining sustainable development goals, one is left to wonder if Zambia is ready for the pursuit. According to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 6, the aim is to safeguard universal access to safe and affordable drinking water, sanitation and hygiene, and ending open defecation by 2030. While this is the case, water leakages are on the rampage in various parts of the country, which in the worst situations leave the occupants without a supply of water. This is the status quo of Lusaka's MTENDERE township, where thousands of liters of water are being lost to the disadvantage of the locals. The residents explain that there has been no water supply in some households for over 3 months due to the leakages.
Siangena mapipe kayonse yachoka yaenda then pressure ikasala pangono then manzi ajaenda futi mapipe yaja tikudia futi doti tikumwa doti manzi futi amene ya doti vazaponya mu vinango bana zaponya mu vinango manzi aja futi aenda futi mtu mapipe buya tikumwa futi madoti sometimes kulivana amene sivamvera taita ripoti kambili manini batikulibe chaka chisira kama yezi angati ya manje yapita hapo manzi mnachokera chovira pansi kuchoka
ingapa abiri twabauza kuti ati manzi twalema nayo kuchoka yango choka che manzi alibe direction basi wachitapo action ili onsawo manje stizi bauti company ngati kali kusebenzana ngwako ngate kubwera uvala manzi kubeba wote bese bawami apa pakutira tina ifo kuno tube ku bwino amenshoko yaba kuno nomba mulandu waba wota
because manzi yaonongeka more than 2 years. Day and night. If they say each drop counts. Now this is not a drop.
Meanwhile, Area Councillor Boniface Chibeka acknowledges the challenge and is calling on the water utility to set up technical departments in the area.
And I believe that water is I wouldn't say manufacture, is being pumped at a very high cost, but the way it is being wasted in MTENDERE is actually beyond expectations. And the other thing is that I think I would appeal that like either in each ward or each area like MTENDERE, we need a site office for Lusaka Water and Sewage, especially the technical department, so that they can be quickly attending to such matters. Because apart from the issue of water, sooner or later, sewer is going to be commissioned, and it's the first time in which in MTENDERE township people would have to use flushable toilets. So now there will be that demand to quickly resolve such challenges which arises from first time usage of sewer. There will be a lot of sewer blockage, the issues of water.
But Lusaka and Sanitation Company Marketing and Public Relations Manager Nshamba Mzungu, says residents are hesitant to report faults to the company, which has led to the situation persisting.
Because customers can just call our call center. We now have a call center. So customers should take advantage of the call center, report all complaints, so that we can respond to them promptly. I think that was the idea behind coming up with the call center.
Ensuring the availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all confirms the importance of water and sanitation globally, and the need to safeguard it cannot be overlooked. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Lusaka Magistrate Court has directed Chilubi Area Member of Parliament Mulenga Fube and his Lumezi counterpart Munia Zulu to ensure that former presidential political advisor KAIZER Zulu appears before court, failure to which they will face consequences. The court has warned the two lawmakers of strict penalties if they fail to avail the accused before court in the next sitting. The two lawmakers are sureties of the accused and have pleaded with the court for more time for them to bring him to court. Mr. Zulu is on bench warrant after he absconded from court 3 times. This is in a matter in which he is accused of failing to surrender a diplomatic passport. More in this report.
Chilubi Area Member of Parliament Mulenga Fube and Lumezi Area Member of Parliament Munia Zulu risk being punished by the Lusaka Magistrate Court if they fail to ensure that former presidential political advisor KAIZER Zulu appears before court at the next sitting. Lusaka Magistrate Sylvia Munyinya has directed the two lawmakers who are sureties of Mr. Zulu to find the accused and bring him before court. The two lawmakers pleaded with the court this morning, Wednesday, the 21st of June 2023, for more time for them to find the accused and present him before court. Mr. KAIZER Zulu is facing a charge of failing to surrender a diplomatic passport, is on bench warrant for absconding for court session. According to the law, where the accused fails to appear before court, the surety must offer a reasonable explanation to the court. This morning, the two sureties produced a COVID-19 medical test from the lab, which indicates that Mr. KAIZER Zulu tested positive. Magistrate Munyinya has, however, declined the production of the said medical report on ground that it has not been certified by a medical doctor as it came straight from the lab. Mr. Zulu is expected to own his defense. He was recently found with a case to answer. The former political advisor during the PF administration is standing trial on charges bordering on failing to appear before a nearest immigration officer and failing to surrender a diplomatic passport. In the first count, allegations are that Mr. Zulu failed to appear before a nearest immigration officer on the 9th of December 2022. In the second count, the state accuses him of failing to surrender his diplomatic passport when required to do so by the chief passport and citizenship officer upon ceasing being a diplomat on the 20th of December 2019. The matter stands adjourned. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
And still in court news, former PricewaterhouseCoopers Director Tenderai Luwisi has told the Lusaka High Court that he does not remember how many times he allegedly stabbed his wife. Opening his defense Wednesday morning in a case he is accused of murdering his wife, Pelagai Mulingwi, 38, Mr. Luwisi claims that his wife allegedly stabbed him first and he sustained multiple wounds on his neck. Mr. Luwisi further testified that the altercation between him and his late wife arose when she allegedly told him that the 2 children they had during their 18 years of marriage were not his. The accused has also denied allegations that he attempted to commit suicide at his office after he allegedly killed his wife.
Chilling testimony came on Wednesday in the alleged murder trial involving former PricewaterhouseCoopers Director Tenderai Luwisi. The Lusaka High Court was forced to enjoy a Greensley narrative describing details of what transpired on the evening of December 10, 2022 at house number 121 in Lusaka's Jesbondin. Opening his defense, Tenderai Luwisi, who is accused of fatally stabbing his wife, 38-year-old Pelengai Mulengwi, after a fight, claims to have been attacked and stabbed by his wife and sustained multiple wounds on his neck. The accused, who did not want to see the presence of the media when he was being led to the holding cells, earlier told the court during his testimony that he cannot remember how many times he allegedly stabbed his wife. In his further testimony, the altercation between him and his late wife arose when she allegedly told him that the 2 children they had during their 18 years of marriage were not his. The accused, who paused for a moment and shed tears, testified that he was furious and out of control because of what his wife told him. However, as he tried walking toward the kitchen, he was attacked by his wife and stabbed on the neck. In cross-examination, he has denied ever issuing death threats to his wife. His teenage daughter, who witnessed what transpired on that fateful day, had informed the court in a testimony that the accused held the deceased by the neck against the kitchen wall and stabbed her. When shown a WhatsApp message that was read in part, the accused denied allegation that he attempted to commit suicide at his office after he allegedly killed his wife. He claims he went for help. According to a WhatsApp message that was read before court, the accused allegedly told his 17-year-old son that he was sorry for killing his mother and himself, further informing him of the asset that he had left for him and his young sister. The matter has been adjourned to August. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Patriotic Front Acting Media Director Edwin Lifwekelo has predicted that more Patriotic Front officials have been targeted for arrests this week. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. Lifwekelo says former Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampyongo is likely to be arrested in connection with the gassing incidents. Meanwhile, others targeted for arrests are former Defense Ministers Jeffrey Waliamwamba and Davis Chama.
Of information, just like President Hakainde had the privilege to have information. You don't own people in institutions of governance. So there are people that are extremely not happy. Just like they were not happy when we were in government, they will be able to trade information and be able to tell you what is happening. So we are up to speed in terms of what is going on. Even when our members are arrested, we are aware. Just like, I'm sure you remember that even President Hakainde Hichilema, when he was in office, if you backtrack, you remember days when you hold a press conference and he'll tell you before information is given, President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, OP had already given me information. So I'm up to speed in terms of what is happening. So he had that privilege. So also we are privileged that there are some people who are not happy basically with what is happening. So they'll be able to share information of what is going on. So we are aware that Honorable Kampyongo, there's an undertaking that they want to Kampyongo and allegations they want to implicate him into the issues of gassing. That's an allegation we have been told you'll be picked for. So it's better Zambians know that even when it happens, they should know that Camnet told them, I told them, that we are aware of a plot to arrest Kampyongo. We are aware of a plot to arrest our national chairman, Davis Chama. We are aware of a plot to arrest GBM. And I think on GBM we are told these issues to do with the defense contracts and stuff. So whether they have evidence or not, but we are aware that that's a ploy. We are aware of the arrest of Jonas Zimba, our lawyer, that they want to pick him, maybe implicate him for whatever reason. That is up to the police to determine. But the party is aware. So it's nothing. The arrest of Emmanuel Mwamba, the arrest of all these former ministers is nothing. There's more the Zambian people should brace themselves for before 2026. So we are fully aware of that. We are ready as a political party.
Governance activist Sam Zulu has described the action taken by some opposition leaders to write an open letter to President Hakainde Hichilema alleging human rights abuse by the UPND administration as misplaced. Mr. Zulu says on various platforms the president has called for the preservation of the rule of law and wonders why he is being implicated in alleged abuse of human rights. Meanwhile, political scientist Joseph Selisho wonders why the opposition leaders wrote to the president minus exhausting all avenues of concern on human rights abuse in the country. More in the following report.
The country's political space has been mixed with various points of views, with those in the wheels of authority sitting on the premises of the rule of law and the opponent alleging persecution. Monday, 19th June 2023, opposition leaders totaling to 9 wrote an open letter to Republican President Hakainde Hichilema claiming human rights violations, political victimization, among others, under the UPND-led government. In the letter, the opposition cite that the arrest of former ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba, Kasonde Mwenda, among others, amounts to political persecution, but good governance activist Sam Zulu says the action to write to the president is misplaced and wonders why President Hichilema is being attached to the alleged biases.
The president of the Republic of Zambia is on record during swearing ceremonies. He has consistently advised law enforcement agencies to ensure that these rights of citizens are not only protected, but are also promoted. It is not the president who should be enforcing these laws. The president has done his part. You can tell from the pronouncements that there is willingness on the part of the executive.
Meanwhile, political scientist Joseph Selisho says the opposition leaders should have exhausted all avenues of human rights before rushing to write to the head of state.
As the Zambian constitution, individuals have got rights to express themselves, but these rights have to be expressed in a certain legal framework. It's not in a manner where you write direct letters to the Republican president. For heaven's sake, if we were to think for a minute, how many citizens will write letters of that nature to the president on a daily basis? That's why there's a legal framework in this country where if people's rights have been violated, they have to follow the channels and they'll be dealt with accordingly. Now, in case of the political parties, we have certain instruments also that are used to be heard. For instance, if their rights are so grievous, we have the Human Rights Commission where they can launch their complaints after exhausting other channels. If that is failed, we have another avenue that goes to the international community. Now, to make such allegations, I think, in my opinion, it's a distraction to a president that is performing his duties in the framework of a constitution.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
This is Camnet Television Main News. Join us for more news after this break.
In our quest to save nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
The Ukusefya Bangwena Organizing Committee proudly present Legacy on the Greens, a prestigious golf tournament commemorating the 10th anniversary of Mwine Lubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II's reign. Join us as we tee off with Mwine Lubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II on the 23rd of June at the exquisite Bonanza Golf Course in Lusaka, Zambia, for a day of elegance, camaraderie, and regal competition. Legacy on the Greens, celebrating Mwine Lubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II's 10th anniversary on the throne. Don't miss this regal affair. Reserve your place today.
The FAR's 2022-2023 season is over, and the 2023-2024 season is around the corner. Camnet Stars Football Club, popularly known as the local national team, is looking for young talented football players from across Zambia, aged between 16 and 23 years old. Camnet soccer trials will be held on the 30th of June and the 1st of July 2023 in Lusaka at 09 hours. The venue is Kabulonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Your skills could earn you a place in the world of soccer greats in Zambia and the world. Camnet Stars Football Club, the local national team, is a team born for greatness with visionary players. Let us join hands and contribute to high levels of Zambian football standards. Don't miss these trials. The future of Zambian soccer is dependent on you. Make a date with us. Remember, you are born for greatness. See you there.
Water is life. Each drop counts, and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. Republican President Hakainde Hichilema has called for dialogue in resolving conflicts to ensure the safety of citizens in the region. Speaking after visiting the Kigali Genocide Memorial Site, President Hichilema said the genocide is a blunt recap that conflicts must always be resolved through dialogue. And President Hichilema says cooperation is key in ensuring the two nations develop. Meanwhile, Rwandan President Paul Kagame says it is important to build resilient economies that answer to the existing challenges, such as that of the Russia-Ukraine war.
I said the debt yet to inherit, but again, governments are institutions, they live on, so we have to deal with it. So I use an example that the debt we are faced with is like a python crippling us in the neck, the ribs, and the legs. So we want this python rolled out of our body as a country. And then we have the capacity to implement the things that we have agreed with the president and the people bank, because capacity will be released and focused on the debt legacy. Thank you.
Yeah, but to primarily survive the consequences of that. For example, everyone has heard of shortage of grains, of fertilizer, or all kinds of things that we need for food or input into our agricultural systems. So, can we build resilient economies and have these sectors so that because we can grow grains, can have grains to feed Zambia, Rwanda, and the rest of Africa, especially given the agreements we have signed and the deal share of self-sufficiency, so that we are able to weather the storm that comes from different parts of the world.
The African Post-Harvest Losses Information System, AFLIS, says sub-Saharan Africa loses about 4.1 billion United States dollars worth of grain every year, equivalent to what is imported into the region every year. Speaking on the sidelines of the African Post-Harvest Losses Information System meeting being held in Lusaka, AFLIS Core Care Zimbabwe member Brighton Mvula says the post-harvest losses, if well managed, have the capacity to feed the entire region without having to import grain. He says lack of data on post-harvest losses has continued to mislead most of the countries in which crops to invest their resources. He says African governments need to come up with a post-harvest management strategy on how to handle post-harvest losses.
that in sub-Saharan Africa, we are losing about 4.1 billion US dollars worth of grain. And that value of grain is actually equivalent to what is imported. So if we were able to save that food, we could actually do away with food aid and imports people adequately. Yeah? Even before we go on to increasing production. But according to the AU post-harvest management strategy and also the AU Malabo declaration, there is a framework for each member state to report every 2 years on the progress made in reducing post-harvest losses. And most countries have failed because they don't have the data. They don't have the statistics. So AFILIS is trying to come in by those estimates, particularly for cereals, legumes. Now we are also working on root and tuber crop.
Western Province Minister Kapelo Mbangweta has charged that the multi-million-dollar cashew nut project has not yielded the much-needed desired results. In 2020, the government invested $55.4 million United States dollars in Western Province, specifically to promote cashew nut production. But Mr. Mbangweta says there is room to improve the project to produce the desired results.
There is room, and this is what we want to do. First is to understand what went wrong, and then make improvements on those areas which are required. Remember, the most important thing is to appreciate the number of trees having been planted, the ones which have succeeded out of that, and then the support to the farmers in terms of them now making sure that the trees prosper as it intended. Of course, that needs a lot of education to go with that, because those trees, for them to succeed, are supposed to be nurtured just like any other investment. And like, if you like, when we're growing up ourselves, we grew up with the cashew trees. They were just there as trees. They were not looked after, they could be diseased and so on. But to do a successful project, you need to spray the cashew nuts. You need to intercrop while still waiting for the fruition. You need also to trim. And so it's a full-time business looking to the future, that once you have gone over the curve, you have bigger returns than you can ever imagine.
Thank you.
Yes, and then as a matter of fact, when you come to Mongo, try to visit a successful cashew tree farmer in terms of see their trees, and then see another farmer who have just behaved like they have not followed the script. You see the very big difference, because if they are looked properly, within 3 years, then you start floating. Then they'll give you what you invested.
Activist Jeffrey Luchele says Mopani copper mine and Konkola copper mine issues are long overdue. Hence, it is about time the government should attach the seriousness these issues deserve. Mr. Luchele says the KCM issue has affected the country's economy and contributed to the high levels of poverty on the Copperbelt province. He says there is a need to look at time and consider most of the miners who have been out of employment for many years on how they are surviving.
First, I want to say that these issues to do with KCM and Mopani, actually they have been so long overdue, and government should attach that seriousness in resolving these issues. We have seen how the poverty level has increased in the Copper Belt and even the country at large, because we know how much the mining sector contributes to this economy. So we need to see that seriousness being attached in addressing this issue. Let's see how best we can expedite the process and finish this case as soon as possible. Yes, we know that we want to see at the end of the day clinch something that will benefit the Zambians, that will benefit the miners. But we need to also take into consideration the time that is being taken and what effect this has to the economy of this country. We want to see an investor that will come with better conditions, that will have the respect to the labor laws, an investor that will look at the serious approach in handling corporate social responsibility. We know how much pollution is being done by these mines, and when you look at in equivalent to what the community is benefiting from this mine, actually it's nothing. And that raises a lot of concern. ZEMA has been trying to push a lot of issues and cases against these mines. But at the end of the day, what do a common Zambian benefit from that? We also need to look at how much is ZCCM High-Edge going to actually have a shareholding in these mines. We don't need to see that situation where Mopani had 73% or KCM had a lot of shares. No, we need to see a win-win situation. Can these investors have 50%? It's possible, and that is the way to go in resolving issues surrounding payments, low salaries, and also respect to the labor laws. So the most important thing, let's see how best we address these issues before we look at who is coming.
You're watching Camnet television, not just on another channel. We'll take our second and final break. Join us for international sports news after the break.
The Ukusefya Bangwena Organizing Committee proudly present Legacy on the Greens, a prestigious golf tournament commemorating the 10th anniversary of Mwinelubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II's reign. Join us as we tee off with Mwinelubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II on the 23rd of June at the exquisite Bonanza Golf Course in Lusaka, Zambia, for a day of elegance, camaraderie, and regal competition. Legacy on the Greens, celebrating Mwinelubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II's 10th anniversary on the throne. Don't miss this regal affair. Reserve your place today.
The FAR's 2022-2023 season is over, and the 2023-2024 season is around the corner. Camnet Stars Football Club, popularly known as the local national team, is looking for young talented football players from across Zambia, aged between 16 and 23 years old. Camnet soccer trials will be held on the 30th of June and the 1st of July 2023 in Lusaka at 09 hours. The venue is Kabulonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Your skills could earn you a place in the world of soccer greats in Zambia and the world. Camnet Stars Football Club, the local national team, is a team born for greatness with visionary players. Let us join hands and contribute to high levels of Zambian football standards. Don't miss these trials. The future of Zambian soccer is dependent on you. Make a date with us. Remember, you are born for greatness. See you there.
Welcome back. And now in international news, hundreds of climate change activists protested in Paris on Wednesday, demanding an end to the financing of fossil fuels as a summit for a new global financial pact begins in the French capital. They are now calling for more meaningful commitments, including a roadmap for what to expect from this year's meeting.
Hundreds of climate activists protested in Paris on Wednesday, demanding an end to the financing of fossil fuels as a summit for a new global financial pact begins in the French capital. They are now calling for more meaningful commitments, including a roadmap for what to expect from this year's meeting of the Group of 20 Major Economies and UN Climate Conference. What makes us angry, and not just on the eve of the summit, is that companies like Total Energies, Exxon and Shell continue to break profit records every year, even though they have known for 50 years about the impact of their activities on the climate and biodiversity. The protests also attracted climate activists from Uganda who are opposing the Mega Oil project and its pipeline, terming it an environmental hazard.
President Macron, keep it in the ground, stop the East African crude oil pipeline, make polluters pay if we are to have climate justice, and fossil fuel finance. And the last word is from me, from Uganda. We are watching you. Let this be a step you take for people like us, for people from countries like mine.
Heads of state, finance leaders and activists from around the world will converge in Paris to seek ways to overhaul the world's development banks like the International Monetary Fund and World Bank and help them weather a warmer and stormier world.
The conflict in Sudan has forced 500,000 refugees to flee the country and another 2 million are internally displaced, the UN High Commissioner for Refugees revealed on World Refugee Day. Filippo Grandi, who was in Nairobi, Kenya on the occasion, deplored Tuesday the absence of a political resolution in the conflict. It is a worrying situation because we haven't seen much progress so far, if any, in the negotiations between the two generals who are fighting in the country.
Les deux généraux qui se battent.
We are unfortunately gradually witnessing the destruction of this country. Grandi was speaking a day after donors at the UN conference pledged close to $1.5 billion in aid to Sudan and its neighbors, including Chad and Egypt, that host those fleeing the fighting. Cairo had announced it would introduce entry visa for all Sudanese. There is also an element of insecurity that risks spreading as a result of this situation. My appeal to all the neighboring countries is the following. I understand your security concerns, but please keep your borders open because these people are really fleeing for their lives. Sudan has been plunged into chaos since April 15th, with the army led by Abdel Fattah al-Burhan battling the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces commanded by his former deputy Mohamed Hamdan Daglo. The death toll has risen above 2,000, according to the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project's latest figures.
Former Rwandan police officer Fulgence K. Shema, accused of playing a major role in the 1994 genocide, is seeking asylum in South Africa. Arrested last month in Cape Town, the Rwandan has abandoned his application for bail, his lawyer announced on Tuesday, who added that his client fears for his life if and when he is extradited. The asylum request is likely to delay the legal process in South Africa, where he is currently facing numerous charges linked to his irregular stay in the country. The state prosecutor indicated that South Africa will oppose any future bail application. Until his arrest, the 62-year-old was one of the last fugitives sought for their role in the genocide which killed 800,000 Rwandans.
We now have some sports news. Now, sports news tonight. The Zambia national women's team will face Ireland at Talat Stadium on Thursday, 22nd of June 2023, in a 2030 kickoff. Copper Queens midfielder Everine Susan Katongo says the Ireland friendly will be like a World Cup match. The Copper Queens were camping in Germany to prepare for the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup starting on the 20th of July.
This friendly isn't going to be an easy friendly because we are going to play with experienced players and it will be our first time playing against Ireland. So we have to take this friendly so serious because it's not an easy game, though it's not part of the World Cup tournament teams we are going to face, but it's more like the preparation for the World Cup. The people we are going to play with are more experienced, again with the people we are going to meet at the World Cup are the same people we are going to play with. So they are going to give us a hint on how we are going to perform when we go to the World Cup, when the tournament starts, and with the people we are going to meet at the World Cup. Training is going on very well. Everyone is really working hard, and there is much competition because everyone is putting more competition during the training sessions, and we are fine here in Germany. We are cooperating very well with the weather and everything, so everything is fine now. The level of training here is a little bit high because this time around we are working towards perfection. The days are already gone, and all we want is to prepare very well before we go to the World Cup. And I'm sure when we came here, we started our training very well, and even this time around, we are still working hard and we are training very well as a team and as individuals.
And still in sports news, the Minister of Youth, Sports and Arts, Elvis Nkando, has disclosed that his ministry is determined to tap talent which responds to the country's developmental agenda. Speaking during the weekly media briefing at the Ministry of Information and Media, Mr. Nkando says in trying to achieve this, no sport in the country is considered as minor. He has committed to promoting all the sports so as to ensure talent in all parts of the country is well harnessed. Mr. Nkando has since disclosed that the ministry will now only be in charge of facilitating for the needs of the senior national teams to ensure maximum motivation is given to players. The minister says previously the senior national teams were not well motivated.
We are very, very proud that we do not now look at any sport as a minor one. Every sport is very important for us because we may not know where you can get your medals from. That's why we are saying every sport is important. The president has been at the center of everything. He has also pronounced himself that Elvis, there should never be a minor sport in the country, and that has really motivated a lot of federations, motivated a lot of athletes. There is the more reason why you are seeing now we are winning in every corner. We are receiving medals, and I hope that we may surpass the 310 medals that we had got last year. But it will be difficult because we may not have the Region 5 games where we minted a lot of medals. We had to go to 310 because we had the Region 5 games where we got about 60-70 medals. Now that this year we do not have the Region 5, it will happen next year. Yeah, but we need to make sure that we reach our target even beyond the 310 medals that we got last year. So I think for me that is very important. When we come to football, people should also understand that there is an MOU that we've signed with FAS. This MOU, we are only obligated to support the senior national team. And people now should understand, when we say we've given 100% full support to the Federation of Zambia, this is what we mean. Only the senior national team. But we've even gone beyond our way by supporting the under 20, the under 23, or by also supporting the under 20.
To end Camnet television news, the headlines once again. PF alleges that 3 of its senior members have been targeted for arrests this week. MTENDERE compound in a water crisis. 2 lawmakers directed to AVAIL KAIZER ZULU to court. International news: climate activists protest in Paris demanding end to financing of fossil fuels. And in sports news, government determined to tap talent in all parts of the country. Our comment verse of the day is coming from the book of Philippians 1 verse 9. I pray that your love will overflow more and more, and that you will keep on growing in knowledge and understanding. Thank you for watching Camnet Television Main News. I'm Jeffrey Ziambo. Good night.